This is what we do. We record podcasts
This is how we do it.
in your basement.
What is up, everybody? How we doing? How we feeling? Welcome to another episode of the Final Vibe Podcast, episode 26. My name is Kevin Reap, and alongside me is my co-host, Andrew White. Andrew, are you ready for episode 26?
Kevin, you know I love the solo episodes more than anything in the world. Of course I'm ready for episode 26.
Absolutely. That's right. It is a solo episode, just you and I around the table today. No guest joining us, but that's okay. We're still going to pack as much value as we can in this episode, share some updates about Final Vibe, and we got a fun topic today, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But before, let's take care of business, I guess, and jump in.
Kevin, why don't you give everyone an update on this brand that we've created, this Final Vibe thing? What are we doing? What's in the works? What are you cooking up your sleeve?
Oh, we're always cooking stuff. Always cooking stuff up my sleeve. Is
Always
that what
up the
said?
sleeve. Yeah, cooking
Always
up your
cooking up
sleeve.
my
It's
sleeve.
kind of like a chef wizard thing.
Absolutely. I like it. So we've had recently a slight brand update from an appearance standpoint. Our logo designer hooked us up with a fresh look.
Oh, we have a logo designer.
A logo designer. His name is Gary.
God bless Gary.
God bless Gary. He's done a phenomenal job. So he hooked us up with a fresh look, and so we're updating our social feed. So this is just another call out, folks, for those of you listening. If you're not following Final Vibe on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, now's the time to do it.
You're following a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah.
You might as well replace one garbage account with a phenomenal account.
That's a good idea. Unfollow one bad account.
Do
and then
two.
Follow Final Vibe. Yeah.
Two for one special.
Yeah. We'll give you twice as much value as that garbage account. Anyway, so we dropped the purpose of Final Vibe 3 days ago on Twitter. The purpose of Final Vibe is to create and curate content, products, and ideas that change perspective and support a legacy-first mindset.
I could be wrong, but that sounds like a mission statement.
It is kind of like a mission statement.
Love it.
Same vibe, different name. But we hope that all of the decisions and what we do from this point forward stem back to that purpose. And we got a couple of things that have dropped since that do just that. The first big one that I'm excited about is this sheet of paper here right in front of me.
Oh, that was a nice sound effect right in the microphone.
Yeah, the Final Vibe 365. So this printable template, which let me hand this to you.
Yeah, let me look at this bad boy.
8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that you can download and print from home. It's $2.99 for the download. You can print it as much as you want. This document, we designed it to be completed on a daily basis. You go through and you fill out your calendar, what you're going to do, some key things that you want to focus on, some habits you're trying to maintain or quit, and then also a place for your goals for that day, and then also for the next 30 and 90 days so that you can see right there in front of you every day the larger goals that you're trying to accomplish. And then two fun things on there as well. In the bottom, you get to sign your name at the end of every day. I think that's a fun addition.
It's a nice addition.
Yeah, you check a box that says you dominated the day, and by signing your name, I feel like it's like signing a check. You know, like it's officially yours.
That's right.
And you
Take it to the bank.
Yeah, you're signing off on that day. And then at the top of this thing is a streak. So the goal is to see how many days you can do this consistently in a row.
I love it. I love the aesthetic too. It looks old school. It looks timeless. It looks classic, which for a legacy brand makes a heck of a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Let's keep it timeless, Kevin.
I'm glad you think it looks good. So that's available on the website, finalvibe.com/shop is where you can get that, $2.99. And I think it's worth every penny.
I do too. I like the signature part too because I know that when I start using this, I'm not going to want to sign this if I know that I slacked off. You know, it's like added accountability knowing that you've got to put your name by this little box that says dominated the day.
Absolutely.
If I didn't do it, I'm not signing it.
Don't sign it.
Not checking the box.
Yeah, and another fun fact about this document, Final Vibe members got this for free. So,
there you go.
There you go.
Perks.
Just throwing that out there.
Join the club.
Other fun thing that we added, I guess, in the same vein is the Final Vibe journals. We have leather journals, hand-stitched in St. Louis, Missouri.
Straight off the Titanic, actually.
Straight off the Titanic. It kind of looks like that. They got that vibe.
I know. I love it.
It looks so good.
Authentic.
Ansgar Leather Company in St. Louis put these together for us. Final Vibe logos in the bottom right. They hold a 6x8, 5x8 journal on the inside, moleskins. We're already sold a couple. And
Already sold a couple, yeah.
Yeah, they're not necessarily a massive stock of those sewn, hand stitched.
No, that's kind of cool though, because I mean they're not mass produced yet. I mean,
Right.
literally the first 3 we got were all unique.
Mm-hmm.
There were 3 different ones, so it's kind of cool knowing that 3 different Final Vibers out there have 100% unique, authentic journals that no one will ever have.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, and then the same thing as this 365 document, the journals, the leather is made to last forever. It's going to age and look cool. It's kind of got some dope legacy vibes to it. So
big vibes.
Excited about that. Other update, newsletter. Final Vibe newsletter is back, and it's going to be slightly different. We're going to hit you with it more often. It's going to be a little shorter.
Smaller chunks,
Just as much value as before. So if you want the Final Vibe newsletter, you can go to finalvibe.com/newsletter. Sign up, put your email in there. We will never bother you with anything that we don't think is worth your time.
Only the best.
Only the best. And that's pretty much it for the business side of the updates for that. Personal side, how was your Thanksgiving?
Let's get personal. My Thanksgiving was so nice. It was so nice.
Really?
I got to, it was like I spent the day before Thanksgiving with my wife's family. It was really lovely. Ate a ton of food, plenty of pumpkin pie, plenty of pecan pie, plenty of family. It was good. It was super good. Very grateful for that. Thanksgiving Day this year was spent with my family to maintain social distancing as much as possible. We were outside. It was a little bit of a campfire dinner.
There you go.
Yeah. It was nice. Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
We played it pretty quiet here at the house. It was just Jacqueline and I here. We put together a HelloFresh meal. It wasn't turkey, it was chicken, but it was still it had that look to it. We put some stuffing next to it.
You guys kept it simple.
We kept it simple.
In home.
It was just the two of us. We FaceTimed the family. It was still anything and everything you could want in Thanksgiving during a pandemic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. How are you liking HelloFresh, by the way?
Yeah, so HelloFresh is the topic of my latest YouTube video.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's a really nice segue.
It is. So we've been doing HelloFresh. A good friend of ours signed us up for a trial, and we have since tomorrow morning will be the 3rd box that we will receive.
Okay.
So we're digging it. 3 meals a week. Most of what you need is in the box, and I am slowly but surely feeling a little more comfortable in the kitchen.
Chef Kevin,
yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, actually. I feel like, to be honest, you would look good in one of those cliche chef hats, the white ones that look kind of like a piece of cauliflower.
There's a photo of me wearing one on my
Really?
phone. Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Amazing.
Last year, I was asked to carve turkey at a special event in a dining hall on campus. So for an hour and a half, I wore a big chef's hat and carved turkey.
That's such a strange request. What about you exudes an energy that says, I want to carve your turkey? What's that about?
It's the dining program asks people within the campus community, and I, as the first-year esports coach at the time, they thought it would be a cool thing for me to carve turkey.
Well, cheers.
Wear my esports jersey.
Hey, whatever gets the people going, whatever blows their hair back.
I think there were a couple people that were excited about the portions that I cut them.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, protein matters.
Yeah, I hooked them up.
We're very pro-protein.
Pro-protein.
On this podcast, so that's fitting. Kevin, tell us more about the vlogs, and how has your social media endeavor changed over the last couple weeks, couple months? What's your mindset like now that we're final vibing 24/7?
Yeah, well, I'll start with the first part of that, a couple months, because a couple months ago we were rolling, posting. When I say we both were.
Plural version of yourself.
Yeah, I was posting often and striving to accomplish some big goals and kind of get the hang of some of the social media life to the extent that I felt comfortable with.
Because it's not natural for either of us, really.
No,
and
I think
it's good to say that, because I don't know, man. I think if it were up to us, we'd just kind of be behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that it's important that we dive into this topic, because it's something that people listening to us that might struggle holding themselves accountable could do what we're trying to do, which is utilize the power of YouTube and Instagram and all of these channels that we have to tell the story of the life that we want to live by living that life publicly, to an extent that we're comfortable with.
Right.
So a couple months ago, I feel like I was kind of hitting that groove, and up until I broke the collarbone on the bike, it was decent, and then it's fallen apart. But I think I'm coming back.
It didn't fall apart, Kev. You hit a rut.
Hit a rut
because you broke yourself in half. It's understandable. And I'm sure that was a bit of a mental shot as well. But it is good to see you back.
Yeah, for sure. This is the 8th vlog that I've uploaded, which that feels good.
That's really nice. Yeah. You're sneaking up on 10.
Yeah, sneaking up on 10. The numbers slowly go up as we count these things. So it's nice to keep taking those steps. I hope that I have more things to do now. It's just difficult to vlog when you're just chilling at your house.
I was gonna say something similar because I set a goal of posting on Instagram X amount of times last week, and I was like, man, sometimes in COVID there just isn't that much going on, and I think there's value in posting about whatever it is that you're doing, even if it's mundane. But it's definitely easier when there's stuff going on.
Yeah, just another thing that puts COVID in the dislike column.
In the dumpster?
In the dumpster.
Dude, get out of here.
Yeah.
Old news.
Yeah. Okay, so one other thing that we are doing, speaking of accountability and trying to hold each other accountable, in addition to some of the social media things, is these text messages that we started, I think, a week ago today. You sent me a text. Here's what you're going to accomplish this week. I responded with my list. I like that idea. And it actually led to the topic of today's podcast, which is relationships and how we can live the FinalVibe lifestyle through the relationships in our life. And I think that's one way that you and I can do that as friends is hold each other accountable, which is in a way practicing FinalVibe through a relationship.
100%.
So that's the big topic for the podcast today is how can you practice FinalVibe in the relationships that you have in your life.
That's right. I love it. That's a great topic. It's almost like you and I decided that we were going to do a podcast on that because we thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, it's almost like that.
It's almost like that.
Just about.
Yeah. So, Kevin, I feel like you just teased people with what we're doing with this accountability text.
I did. Yeah,
you teased them. I think we need to bring that out a little bit more. So basically, we've said it multiple times on multiple episodes that there's a whole lot of power in going public about stuff. And although sending an accountability text message to a friend isn't necessarily going super public, it's going public enough to a close friend that you value and you respect. And the reality is nobody wants to let people down. For whatever reason, I've never met a human being that was excited about disappointing people. So this idea of me reaching out and saying, Kevin, here are the boxes that I'm going to tick this week. It's really important to me to tick these things. I want you to hold me accountable. And we didn't even really flesh it out as fully as we could because the original stipulation was supposed to be that there was some kind of punishment. Sounds dumb, but there was going to be some consequence if I didn't do it, you know? And so maybe we could even, come up with something. And maybe we could have even done like, you know, an extra YouTube video or 2 YouTube videos next week if you don't get your content out, stuff like that. Things that don't necessarily kick you back, but actually push you forward, like your failures somehow result in more productivity. We're still figuring it out. Mm-hmm. I think this next week we'll probably tie up some loose ends, come up with some fun ideas. But yeah, it's been good.
Very good. So I think let's dive in with a couple talking points. First one that I have is to give specific people in your life permission to call you out for that same exact reason. Because if they feel comfortable saying, hey, dude, you said you were going to do this and you didn't do this, I think that can certainly be enough heat under you to make you move the needle and actually get it done.
It's definitely heated. Nobody likes to be called out when they don't do what they say they're going to do. It's the worst. It's the worst thing. So I like what you're saying here. I'm super in. Obviously, you're one of those people for me. But what's the importance of getting the permission? Because that's huge, right? You can't just be the guy who's like firing off, correcting people. The permission is big.
It is, yeah. And I think all you can do really is give it to other people, and maybe they'll turn around and give it right back to you and say, yeah, do the same thing. No one wants to overstep here and say, hey, dude, you said you were going to do that and didn't do it. And you might have one less relationship in your life because you decided to call out someone that didn't want it. And obviously people listening know different levels of friendships that they have and who could handle it and who couldn't. But think about whether or not there's people in your life who you could lean on a little more to push you in the right direction. Whether that's through a weekly text message or whatever it is, there's probably someone in your life that can help you.
Yeah. Well, and to even rewind a little bit, you have to make sure that you actually want this for yourself. Because some people, I said it before in other episodes, a lot of people just don't want to be challenged. And although it kind of makes sense to me because it's a more comfortable life and it's probably acutely more luxurious experience to just sort of sit and not be corrected and not to be challenged. And ultimately for me, it just bores me. And I want to be a more complete human. I want to be better relationally, socially, spiritually, physically, mentally, all these things. So you got to make sure that you actually want that for your life before you go telling people that you want to be held to that standard, because you're signing up for critique. Yeah. And that's pretty tough. Yeah. But anyway, I love that idea. We're going to roll it out this week. Part 2, it's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right, so I like this because when you and I give each other these prompts, we typically come at them from 2 different angles. Like when we did the 11 ways to final vibe in the workplace, although we were on a similar vibe, they were both unique vibes. So the first talking point that I have here for myself is, in terms of how to final vibe in relationships, is, I guess I want to say this first. All 8 of my talking points, if we get to all of them, are all about sort of resetting your default behavior in relationships. So number 1 is just, when in doubt, choose selflessness or kindness. Because I think in any relationship, man, you're just never really going to go wrong if you default to a posture of selflessness, of thinking of somebody else before yourself, of thinking of that specific person before yourself, and acting on behalf of their needs before you take care of yourself.
I like that. Narrow it down to 1 or 2 options, then it's pretty easy to pick which one you got to do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And choosing selflessness isn't always going to lead you to great success in life. The most selfless people aren't necessarily the most successful people. The grittiest entrepreneurs in life are probably super selfish people. So I'm not saying that this is going to bring you all the fortune and fame in the world, but it's just, I think Final Vibe is more about legacy. It's more about writing a better story. And, being about other people first is, in my opinion, usually a better story.
Well, it's for sure. We've talked to a lot of people about their ideal legacies and how they want to be remembered. And we've also talked to people about how they remember people in their lives who have since passed away. And every time it comes back to those relationships and the people who they impacted throughout their lives. So I think that makes this one of the most important topics that there is.
Every time. Kevin, what's another one for us?
I think it's also important to think about relationships and how to make them more in depth or deeper, if that's a desire. And how do we do that? And I think one way to do that is to learn about other people's passions. Figure out what someone actually enjoys to do, what their hobbies are, what they spend their time thinking about. And if you connect on that level instead of a same job level or how's the weather level, if there are people in your life who you want to get to know more, asking that question straight up, what are some of your passions, can help you do that.
No, that's really good. I think a good way to put that as well is to just become a student of the interest of those around you. And when I think about some of the people I know that tend to know how to work a room really well, and not for manipulative purposes, but just for the sake that they just know how to have a lot of good conversations. You may have been to a party where certain personalities just kind of bop around the room all night, and they always seem like they're having a really good conversation with somebody. And I think it's usually because those people know and take mental notes of what the people around them like to talk about. And although it can be sort of a sleazy way to win friends and influence people, if you're doing it genuinely, it's always awesome. And there's one particular lady who always asks me about what she thinks I'm interested in, and I know she's doing it to be nice to me. And although she doesn't do it super well because she's like a sweet old lady, I know what she's getting at, and I can take a page out of her book on that one. It's nice. Yeah, it's nice because I can tell she cares. The second one I've got for you, Kevin, is be present. And that is going to sound really cheesy to a lot of people, but I think as social media and visual technology becomes more and more ferocious, man, we've just never had more things competing for our attention. And I think the people around us are taking the greatest hit. And since we spend most of our time with the people we love, that means the people we love are taking the greatest hit. So that stinks. And I know I was impacted whenever we had Tony Rigdon on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his daughter and about how he picks her up in this I don't know what he said. It was some kind of like a scooter, some kind of thing. He kind of picks her up in this fun way after school every day, and they go to the park after school, and they finally get home. And I was just thinking, that sounds so old school and slow. Like life is just moving slower because I zoom around town all day trying to get places as fast as I can, pretending like transition times don't matter, as we both know.
Right.
And just the fact that he slows down for his daughter and he has made an intentional move to be present in her life. It's just a home run. And so if Tony's listening, shout out to you because you impacted me, and I'm trying to be more present in all my relationships rather than to be distracted by the phone, the laptop, the YouTube video, whatever it may be.
Yeah. That's funny you say that. I brought that up multiple times already, that Tony's story about riding his bike with his daughter. It's a pretty sweet way to think about. It's just a totally different perspective of life. I mean, of just how, like you said, it's just, but it's an amazing way to slow down and then realize how important that is.
Well, and it was cool too because he openly admitted that he was living sort of a selfish lifestyle when he was running because he was single and he could, and it wasn't like inherently bad. But I thought it was cool that he was so self-aware that, when he got married and when he had a daughter, it was time to give back and it was time to be selfless and to give up some of that time and to invest it in, new life, which is his daughter, which is cool. So again, thanks, Tony. You're the man.
Yeah.
Kevin, go on. Number 3, what do you got?
Oh, I like that last one. Being intentional is, like you said, it's cliche. It's a basic
It's
one.
so cliche.
It'll make a list like this every time, but it does because it is so important. Next one I have is to add special events to a calendar ahead of time. Something that there's a group of friends from college, and we do this way ahead of time. We put a weekend on the calendar far in advance. We do it before any work excuses can arise. And that has been extremely valuable in maintaining those relationships post-college. Everybody's in different cities, different states. But it doesn't take much other than just to say, let's do this on this day. And it's a great way to kind of set it and forget it in a way.
Yeah. Well, and it shows that you're prioritizing it. If you can plan in advance, you know that it matters. It's almost like, putting your anniversary on the calendar.
Right.
Man, that's a good one.
That's a good idea too.
Don't forget about your anniversary.
Yeah. If you
Tip number 47 from the Final Vibers.
Sure.
Don't do it. No, that's really good. And it makes me think it's one of those things where you can't hide from your behavior sometimes, So like if you prioritize certain things and you can schedule certain things in advance, it reveals to everyone what you care about, and you can't get around that. So if you prioritize your relationships by planning for them, it's cool.
Yep.
And that's a good way to give back to your friends. I've got one, and it's on the topic of conversation, and it's something that I struggle with. So I'm putting this in here because I want to be better. But this one says press into every conversation meaningfully. And what I mean by that is basically small talk. So I joke a lot in small talk. This is feeling like Inception. In small talk, I joke about how much I hate small talk. And it's generally true because I just don't like shooting the breeze with new people or even people that I kind of know, but we don't hang out enough to really have anything super in common. And we're just saying sort of all the middle class fancy things that you see on the Instagram account, like, hey, how you doing? Oh, this guy again. Oh, you better watch this guy. Is the bouncer going to come throw this guy out of here? How you guys doing?
Classic small talk.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst stuff. But I found that, and I don't know who it was, but somebody close to me challenged me to say, why don't you actually just press into that small talk and think of it as more than small talk, because it is more than small talk, and you're building relationships, and it's only lame if I make it lame. So one specific thing is I'm always tempted to check out of conversations, if it's more than one person, whenever the topic no longer applies to me. And I hate that about myself. Like at work, it'll happen. People will stop by, chat somebody up, multiple people in the office. I'm into it when we're talking about The Bachelor, or I'm into it when we're talking about exercise or food or whatever. And then somebody starts talking about their daughter or this or that. And all of a sudden I realize that I'm checking my email and this person's still talking to the rest of the room.
Right.
And I feel like such a jerk. So I'm trying to be less of that guy and be more of the guy who, even when you feel that awkwardness and you just want to get out of that conversation more than anything, press into it.
So yeah, just sit in it.
Sit in it. And not only that, but discipline yourself enough to listen, launch questions back. It's just a better way to be. You're just going to be a better dude. And I hate the thought of people thinking like Andrew is absent-minded in our conversations. Woof. That's not a good legacy.
Yeah. Goes back to the last one of just being intentional.
Be super intentional. Yeah. Be present. Don't get distracted.
It's so easy to get distracted. And I think that's, you're right. Well, you said it earlier, and it's unfortunately true that I feel like the people who are impacted the most by the potential distractions are those that are closest to us.
Totally, yeah. They get because we take them for granted,
yeah,
and they get shafted. Because I guarantee anytime I walk into a conversation with a superior or somebody who I would put in that category of air quote important, oh, of course they have my attention.
Right.
Of course I'm not pulling out my cell phone and looking at a text message. And that's lame. It's ultimately selfish. Kevin, what do you got for us? Launch us into another talking point about how to final vibe relationally.
Remember those in your lives' favorite things and surprise them with it. This is one from Jacqueline upstairs.
That is good.
So Jacqueline upstairs. This is one from my wife. I asked her if she had any thoughts on this, and that was one that she had. And I think it is a fantastic addition because it's something that she does, and it's not necessarily difficult to do. You just have to listen and be intentional and make some mental notes of certain things. And whether it's, I mean, it can be as simple as a restaurant picking something or whatever, toppings on a pizza. It can be a lot deeper than that as well. But remembering those small things that people say, and then they realize, oh, you do listen. I mean, it's extremely powerful.
Really powerful, especially in marriage. You wanna do well in marriage, pay attention, and then deliver on those things that you paid attention to. And it's really hard, man. I don't know, my wife will probably inevitably listen to this, and I don't do as well as I should, and it stinks. Because again, so many things to do in life, so many boxes to tick. Those who are closest sometimes get neglected, and that stinks. But the surprises thing is clutch. If you surprise somebody with something they legitimately care about and love, big friend points.
Yeah.
Brownie points to the moon.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. I've got another one that is, I'm going to skip number 4 and I'm going to go to number 5 because number 4 is so painfully cliche that I can't even say it on the podcast.
Okay, that's fine.
And number 5 is, and this is kind of an opinion, be a person who's known and respected for being poised. And if you're wondering how that relates to relationships, I just think especially in 2020, like poise is just a bit of an art that's been lost. People don't collect their thoughts before they speak. They don't trace their thoughts. They don't analyze why they think what they think. They act primarily on emotion. Logic has been abandoned. And I think just if you're a person who decides that you're going to be known for being calm and collected and poised in every situation in life, no matter what comes your way, insofar as you can help it, I don't know. I just think you're going to be better off. And if you can be identified as the person in the room who's got it together and is going to be sort of a foundational, steady thing, something that's steadfast and unmoving, that's cool. And I certainly want to be that. I try to be that because for me personally, there's nothing more off-putting than the person who's, just sort of getting tossed by every emotional wind about everything. Be poised, in my opinion.
I think that's a respectable opinion to have.
Oh, I mean, I try to be respectful with my opinions.
All right, here's going to be my next one is actually going to be read from a book. So we chose this topic, I don't remember when, yesterday? Last night, my wife finished A Day in the Life of a Minimalist by Joshua Fields Milburn. She told me I should read it. I picked it up this evening. I flew through it and finished it. Cover to cover. It's gone. Done.
Your house is already on the market, and
yeah.
In 24 hours, all you will own is a pair of pants.
Yeah, the minimalist aspect of this, I think there will be many more writings from Final Vibe to come on this topic, probably, different pieces of it. But there's a part of this book, the title of this, and you can add a beep in here, Letting Go of Shitty Relationships beep. Is actually the title of the chapter.
How profane.
But it's interesting because we were talking about relationships and we took these notes and then it was like, oh, this is actually kind of another way to think about relationships is getting rid of them in still, if you have to. Getting rid of them.
Spicy. Ditch the toxic ones.
So there's just a little piece from this. It says, we've all at some point held on to someone who didn't deserve to be there. And most of us still have someone in our lives who continually drains us, someone who doesn't add value, someone who isn't supportive, someone who takes and takes and takes without giving back to the relationship, someone who contributes very little and prevents us from growing, someone who is constantly playing victim. So it's kind of harsh after everything else that we've said in the list. And it goes on to say that there's going to be times in your life where it might be easier to sit down with somebody and just say, we need to move on from the relationship that we once had because it's not an actual fruitful relationship. So I think that's worth mentioning in this episode as well, because some people might be thinking, how do I fix specific relationships? And there's some that might be better off not being fixed.
No, it's really good. I'm glad you said that. I think it's a tough one, and it deserves quite a bit of nuance because, Kevin, you didn't even mean to do this because we didn't share our list with each other, but it segues really well into my next one.
Ooh, okay.
So, but what I was going to say is I think it demands a nuance in the sense that I don't personally want to be the person who's writing off every relationship that isn't hyper valuable to me, because ultimately I don't want to be that self-serving. Now, I know what he's getting at, and he's saying if people are continually dragging you down and they're continually never bringing any value to your life, all they are is a bit of a buzzkill 24/7. Totally. It's time. There are times to cut ties. There are times to move on. But what I have here as one of my points is to be a gap bridger, which in some sense is pushing back against that idea in the sense that there are going to be people in my life that I don't naturally gravitate toward. Non-organic relationships that I think are probably meaningful and they have the potential for value, if for no other reason than it's brought two things that weren't super common together, which I think is cool. And I think it also is on sort of the forefront of my mind, given that the political climate right now is so crazy and it's so polarizing. And I think you and I have said this before, but if more people could take a step back, extend a peaceable hand to someone who doesn't think like you, be in the same room, exist peaceably, that would go so far in terms of bringing people closer together. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure, ditch the people who just stink 24/7. But for the people who are just difficult in your life that maybe could use a friend or use some social interaction, I know that I need to be better about pressing into those because it's way too easy to write them off. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have so many friends that if I wanted to, I would never have to hang out with somebody I didn't want to. But I should because, I don't know, I think there's selflessness in that, and I value that.
I like that. That's a great counterpoint, I think, to that. And there's a lot in this short book that makes you go, really? That seems kind of intense, but this guy is also a special kind of person who sells everything and moves to the mountains.
No, but I like it though, and I get what he's saying, and I'm not even pushing back against it. I'm nuancing the point.
Yeah,
is all I mean to say. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm bouncing it back to you. What do you got?
All right, let's do one more each, if that's cool.
So cool with me.
Here's what I'm bringing to the table.
Okay.
Set reminders to follow up with people when appropriate. This doesn't work for everybody.
Don't do it when it's not appropriate.
Yeah, but some people do whatever. But that's a great, easy way to have a name pop up on your phone at a certain time every month, every whatever. Shoot that person a text, give them a call, whatever it is. Great way to make sure that you're staying up.
No, it's really good stuff. I mean, I think women do this really well, and my wife does a good job of this, and she's got a friend in her life, Anna, who does this really well. So shout out to Anna, who's probably not listening. But I want to celebrate that in people because she will just randomly say hi to people. Like, hey, how are you doing? I'm thinking about you. I just want you to know that you're still on my radar. Because the reality is that life very much ebbs and flows in terms of the friendships that we have immediate access to. People move away. Cole Crawford moves away. People move away. But how can you keep a touch and a pulse on those relationships? Set follow-ups. Follow-up reminders.
Yep.
Boom. It's actually really similar to my final point here before we move on to the next segment of the podcast, and it is to make relationships a part of your task list. So I guess what I mean by that is I was even thinking when I sent you my list of, Kev, these are all the things I want to accomplish this week. And it was mostly like, YouTube video on Thursday, 3 posts for Ivory, these workouts, blah, 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 email, newsletter, blah, all that stuff. It was all like work stuff. It was work stuff, productivity, stereotypical workaholic stuff. And what I realized is I haven't captured any relational elements in this to-do list. And that's dumb, in my opinion. So what I'm going to try to do is weave things in there like, like make time to surprise my wife with a foot massage, or find a way to be fun and bring like a pizza home, or just do things that seem really insignificant but are actually home run choices for what I think we want to be known for in terms of legacy and how relationships matter to us. So there you go. Super similar to what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boom.
I like that. Scheduling it as if it's any other thing that you would have to do. Because,
Exactly.
I mean, we should have to do these.
You wake up like I'm convicted all the time because I spend a lot of mental energy and physical energy on exercise. And, I sort of justify it in the name of I'm trying to build a body recomposition company with Josh, and we're trying to expand. And essentially, like, the way we look and the lifestyles we lead in terms of the habits that we cultivate are essentially advertisement, so they've got to be on point. So I don't miss breakfast. I don't miss protein feedings. I don't miss workouts. I want to be the guy who doesn't miss relational moments.
I love that.
Case in point.
Yeah.
Kevin, what if we transition into a new portion of the podcast, something we've never done before, something people likely aren't even ready for?
Wow, what do we got?
But we've got about 10 minutes here. What if we just talked and let people get to know us on a more personal level? Because did you know that some people are listening to our podcast?
They are, I think. People tell us that.
You've been peeping the analytics, and
yeah, the analytics
they look pretty cool.
They look pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
We do appreciate everybody listening.
Thanks for listening.
We hope that you're getting value from this podcast and looking forward to it every Tuesday.
Yeah. So, Kevin, I'm going to put you on the hot seat really quick. What do you do in your free time, man?
Ooh, that's a good question. I play a lot of. I ebb and flow as far as the hobbies that I'm interested in. Right now, it is video games.
Yeah,
is really what it is.
Which makes sense because you do. What do you do for a living?
I'm the general manager of the Mizzou esports program.
Okay, so this all makes sense.
Yeah, so that's what I do for a living: is manage a group of 30 students who compete and play video games, and I enjoy playing some games as well occasionally. And yeah, that's what I've been doing lately. A lot less time to work out and be fit. So
because you broke yourself.
Because I broke myself. So I've replaced it with video games for now. But I'm excited to hopefully shift back to maybe a different hobby here soon too. But
well, no, for sure. I mean,
I
think for some people, video games carry a bad reputation, but it's your job and it's your livelihood. So it's not like you're just bumming around being a fat piece of poop.
I could say that's true. I think video games, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I think that obviously the position that I'm in, I get to see a lot of positive stories that have stemmed from gaming. And I think we're going to see many, many more of those. So it is kind of cool to be in the front row of that and get to have fun conversations with people who have considered it to be just people sitting in front of their TVs gaming. But now there's a lot more to it. So.
There's a lot more to it. Tearing down walls.
That's right.
Building up new hopes. On the first few episodes of the Final Vibe podcast, we chatted a lot about Panera. I'm wondering if you've had any experiences at Panera since we last brought it up.
That's a great question. And the answer is no. Not since we've started Final Vibe have I been back to Panera.
And do you miss it?
Sometimes. I drove by it today. I was in that area and thought about it, actually. But I kept driving.
You probably didn't miss out on much.
No,
we were actually just there yesterday, and I have to be honest, because I know that corporate Panera is listening. I ordered a dine-in meal, a salad, a full-size salad, and it was brought to me in a to-go container, which was much smaller than the in-store bowls.
Really? I'm sure they would tell you it's not true, but I bet it is.
It's true because I'm a person, I have eyeballs. I know that it's true. And I was disappointed because I texted my wife after church and I was like, do you want to get Panera? I just want to eat a lot of greens right now. And I got this beautiful Fuji apple salad. Hold the cheese. Hold the candied walnuts. What? Don't need them in my life.
That's not the Fuji apple salad.
Yes, it is. It's a Fuji apple salad. Hold the cheese. Hold the candied walnuts. The calories are amazing. I had an apple with it. I was full. I was satiated. Double chicken. Small.
$19.
$400 before the tip.
Yeah, they asked for a tip now.
Yeah. By the way, did we ever debrief about the 10,000 calorie challenge on the podcast?
I don't think we have.
What are we not saying?
Yeah, we should definitely have done that. Did we go? We've already recorded since it happened.
We have recorded since it happened, but
First solo episode.
yeah, first solo episode, so it makes sense that we would bring it up now. So
Yeah, we've kept
let's just
everybody
pretend like this was always the plan.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go for us?
Well, it went differently for you than it did for I. I would say almost as expected for myself. I do think I've made it further than I thought I would. I was not successful, though for those listening. I ended up probably around 6,500 calories, and that was with adjustments because we decided late game decision to count alcohol calories.
We did.
I realized at about lunch number 2.5 that I wasn't going to make it. And I wasn't feeling so hot. I thought a beer would help. So we made an adjustment.
Well, in your defense, Kevin, you don't always have your stomach on your side.
I don't.
So, for everyone listening, it's not like you just weaseled out like an absolute loser. You gave it your best shot out there.
I think I did. I knew this was going to happen. There's no way to have the issues I have and eat 10,000 calories successfully, but I thought maybe I could get there before chaos. I'm just kidding. It wasn't bad. That makes it sound gross.
Chaos was on the horizon.
Chaos was on the horizon.
Only God knows what would have happened had you continued on.
That's right. 6,500. Nothing to laugh at, I think. But you, on the other hand, from the first bite of the first donut until the last bite of pizza tree, you were unstoppable. I don't even think you slowed down.
Stop it.
It was incredible.
You're making me blush.
Amazing performance.
It's so good that we're not on YouTube because I am red as a tomato right now. No, but in all honesty, I dominated.
You did.
No, it was an absolute juggernaut presentation, and yeah, I'm proud of what I did.
I think the most impressive thing that I saw that day was the sloppy disco fries at 44 Canteen that were in front of you maybe 15 minutes.
Those were I have never had a full portion of those to myself.
Really?
Yeah, I'd never done that before. And obviously you were there, but for everyone listening, we were polling some of the workers, the waitress, the hostess, probably some random person who didn't work there. How many calories do you think are in this thing? God bless the young lady who said, I don't know, like 1,000. And I was like, honey, you don't even know.
It was 1,000 in French fries.
It was like,
maybe
if you looked at it, that was 1,000 calories. And then when you start eating it, you started at 2,000. I think we counted it as a conservative 2,500. But dude, frankly, it was, that's a naughty meal.
Looking back, I think we didn't count that high enough. Maybe my apple fritter. There's another thing too, I think. But
yeah, your apple fritter was serious, man.
I think as far as most calories go, not counting the extra large pizza tree, that sloppy disco fries was up there.
It was up there, and
that was the meal where I tapped out. That was when I said,
yeah.
I don't even think I took more than 2 bites.
Yeah.
There.
No, you were smart though. I mean, it was a strategic play.
It also it doesn't look. It's a delicious dish. Don't get me wrong.
It doesn't look super sexy if that's where you're going with it.
Correct. It looks like a bunch of chili on top of French fries.
It's a pretty promiscuous dish.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. And I guess we could recap the day a little bit. So we started at Harold's, and we combined Harold's Donuts with B&B. We crushed the everything bagels, and we did 2 everything bagels to start. I did 3 donuts each. I think I had 4 because she randomly gave us another one.
Mm-hmm.
But your apple fritter was the size of the moon.
Huge.
If you've had one of those McDonald's apple fritters, I would say it was probably almost 3 times as big.
It was so good.
Inappropriate.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was. Then we moved on to 44 Canteen, as planned, disco fries. Then I stopped by You Need Sweets, cupcakes, which I think I counted those as like 250 each. Those were pretty rich cupcakes.
Those were rich.
See, and that's what's the most unsatisfying thing of this whole thing was we don't really know how many I ate. It was for sure 10,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we were teetering towards 12.
I would say that. I would say...
Call me nutty.
I would stamp of approval. I was there for the whole day. You definitely got more than 10. And if someone told me you got 12, I wouldn't blink.
You'd say, I believe you.
I would.
We hit up Flat Ranch later on. Burgers, right? Both of us. Burgers.
Yeah.
Did you get a burger?
No, I got
You
the
didn't?
Philly cheesesteak.
Oh.
I think. I don't remember.
I don't know. I got a burger and fries, and I got that cookie ice cream.
Yeah, you ate the whole dessert too.
It was all to myself.
Yeah.
It was a bit much.
She brought 3 spoons.
And then I will be honest, when you got Pizza Tree and brought it in the car, it was just looking at me, and I thought I was going to vomit.
Well, we filmed some of this, and I gave you some of that footage.
Yeah,
and
which is still coming out.
Yeah. It's
on the YouTubes.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Don't you worry, people.
I clicked on a random video to make sure I was looking at the right day, and it was the video of me opening the trunk and showing you the pizza tree, and you did not look.
It's disgusting. It was just awful. It was awful. Something about just what always happens in these 10,000 calorie challenges is that cheese is just it's everywhere.
Yeah,
there's cheese and stuff you didn't know there was cheese in. It's offensive.
For me, I was getting my second wind at the pizza tree. So you were done, and I was like,
no, you were bringing it on.
I think I could eat this entire pizza.
Yeah, you were bringing it on.
I had already given up.
Yeah.
But I put some of that pizza away.
Yeah.
The night.
Well, I will say this. I will certainly be back because I can't tell you how unsatisfied I am with not knowing exactly how many calories I ate.
Yeah, next time with barcodes.
Next time, barcodes, measurable amounts, basically just like I live my life every day. I track my food, except we're just going to go all the way to 10,000. And I'm also curious to see if I can make it a little cleaner than, what a lot of these people do on YouTube, or we just go completely bananas and I see if I can hang with Rob Lipsett closer to that 15 to 20, which seems irresponsible.
Could be irresponsible. After what I experienced, I would call it irresponsible.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, I gained 7 pounds in a day.
Dang.
Cheers. Feels good. It fell right back off. But
I was going to ask, so it's pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't all go away because I don't want people to think you can just eat 10,000 calories and get away with it, so to speak. But I think I netted about probably 2 pounds, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was a fun day. It was fun to do the challenge. I tell you what, one thing, I didn't finish the 100-mile bike ride. I didn't finish the 10,000 calorie challenge. Whatever I do next, I have to do it.
You have to do it.
I have to do it.
You have to do it.
And it maybe needs to be a little less intense.
No, I want it to be more. I want more.
Double or nothing?
I want triple or nothing.
Triple or nothing.
Yeah. Because I know you can do it, Kevin. I know you can rise to the occasion.
I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something fun.
Plus, these two things are out of your hand. It wasn't like you were like, well, 27 miles is far enough on the bike. I'm going to launch myself into the ground.
This seems like a great distance.
This seems like a really good opportunity to break my collarbone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with the stomach thing, hey, you didn't pick that. It's not your fault.
Yeah, working on it.
It's not your fault. Do you think people would watch if I did a YouTube video like wannabe bodybuilder attempts a marathon without practice?
I think people would want to watch that. I believe my cousin trained for a half marathon and ran a full.
Yeah.
I think I have that right. Maybe he trained for a 5K and ran a half, but I don't think so. I think he could do that. Anyway, that's a brutal amount of miles.
Yeah.
What's the furthest you've run?
I probably like an 800-meter dash. Back in high school.
Think about this. If we got in the car right now and we drove from my house to Boonville, you'd still have a little more to run.
Yeah, it's so terrible to think about. But
that 26 miles is the point when you're driving in the car and you're like, man, this is a long drive.
Are we there yet?
This is a long drive.
Yeah.
And then you're going 60 miles an hour.
But I'm just so dumb like that, Like
I think you should try it.
There's something broken in my brain because I always shoot for the stars and I always I don't know. My expectations for myself are just completely unrealistic.
I would love to see you train appropriately for a half Ironman and then the full Ironman. The half Ironman would be a half marathon. I guess it's how many miles on a bike? 60-something miles on a bike. And then a mile swim. Still intense.
That'd be pretty juicy. Do you think that if we did that for Final Vibe content, people would be in? Can you imagine you and I just sporting shameless Final Vibe apparel?
I imagine it all the time.
In the pool, on the bike, in my shoes. I got a Final Vibe tattoo on my forehead.
That's where you're going to go.
Can't stop me.
Yeah. I think it would be cool. That was kind of my goal, was to get to some of that with the training. Eventually, it'd be cool if you and I and other people as well, under the name of FinalVibe, start training and doing cool stuff like that.
What if we do sort of like a remote challenge where it's like on this time, maybe people are doing this, I'm sure people are, but it's like, we're going to do this FinalVibe Ironman, wherever you are in the world, do it. You're your own judge. You're your own integrity police. But at 8 a.m. on this day, we're all going to do it. That'd be cool, man.
Yeah. I like virtual.
And then you got, yeah. And then you got like photos coming in, people tagging themselves, #FinalVibe, Ironman. Yeah.
There's a lot we could do.
Here we are dreaming live on the podcast.
That's right. We do this all the time.
It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
It feels pretty good. Also, we'll wrap it up because I see you looking at your watch. I see you doing that.
I'm getting tweets.
He's getting tweets because Kevin's a Twitter animal.
My Rocket League team is in the grand finals of a tournament.
Killing the game?
Killing the game right now.
Absolutely.
Live on Twitch.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, what if we do this? I'm just going to throw this out there. You tell me what you think. What if you give us an outro? What if you wrap up this episode, send people into their Tuesday or whenever they're watching this?
What if?
What if you do it?
Yes, I can absolutely set us up, I think, with an outro for episode 26 of the FinalVibe podcast. This might be the closest that we've ever recorded an episode to the drop. This thing's coming out tomorrow morning.
This thing will be live in 10 hours.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Love it.
We get to talk to our listeners almost live.
Yummy.
Anyway, folks, don't forget, if you're looking to change your life and focus more on your own legacy, a FinalVibe membership provides you with immediate access to a community of people doing just that, as well as other exclusive content like the FinalVibe 365 journal template. Today's episode was produced by co-host Andrew White. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to future episodes and tell one other person about us. We appreciate all of the support that we've received so far, and we hope to see you online. FinalVibe is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FinalVibe. And you can see our website, apparel, shop, blog, and so much more at finalvibe.com. Enjoy the rest of your week. We will see you back here next Tuesday for another episode of the FinalVibe podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Have an amazing day, folks.